So anyway, here's the deal. This is what I learned. And like any other day, you can choose to listen or not. And I'm making this, I want to make these observations because if you want to be a teacher, then you can learn from the observations. But I'm going to make the claim that you're all going to teach something. I'm going to make the claim that at some point in your life, you're going to make proposals that you're going to have to try to teach somebody something about if you're a salesman. You think salesmen teach anything? Yeah, I think it would educate you as to why you should buy my product. You're going to have to work with groups. It's the justification that I have for the teaching presentations before the debates. And so, just indulge me that one last thing. Or not. This isn't the last thing. I hate to be so wishy-washy. I hate that right part of it. I really do. But, that's how that's going to go. But I have to start with a question. I think I know the answer to the question. And I've been basing about the last 25, 30 years, not the whole career. I didn't always do it this way. But I want to ask the question of Austin specifically, but of all of you in general, why do you let me do this? Why do you let me attack you? Jack Hurts, John Knight, Tim Harder, Heather Brown. They all got it. I mean, to the point of sometimes being rude. Why do you let that happen? Ryan Goronsky.
Fun. I don't know. It's everyone laughs. I know you're kidding. I know you're not serious. I joke around with people like that all the time. Just like
Stephen Tweedy. Joy Tweedy.
I mean, I do the same stuff you do. To other people. You can't take it. You can't dish it out. I mean, that's all in fun. It's all in a joke.
I've been on Heather Brown for 4 years about the hair color changes. Do you think it's fair if I get on her about the hair color changes that I allow her to get on me about the lack of hair changes? Do you think that's fair? Yeah, I think so. Here's why I do it, just so you know. I have such low self-esteem. I do it because it is fun. Here's what, I just got to figure out a way to trick people into listening. That's the essence of what I have to do. I got to trick you into listening for 54 minutes. Now, if that trick involves, what's he going to say to Austin today? And Austin is okay with it, or Heather's okay with it, or Ryan's okay with it, or Steve, or whoever the kid is, or kids that are, different hours, different kids, sometimes multiple. If they're okay with it, and you're listening just to hear that, but you're listening, that's my deal. It's why I love the randomness of your mileage may vary. What is he going to say next? What random word selections will come out of his mouth now? How many of you have been in class with Gordon Tilton?
Yeah. Last semester, oh my God. DJ and Gordon. Yeah, I know. It was crazy.
Dynamic duo of the year.
It was fabulous.
It doesn't get better. It doesn't get better than that.
I mean, here's my deal. The worst thing that can happen is you disrupt the process. That's the worst thing that can happen in my shtick. You know what the word shtick means? Yeah, sure. But you get this. What does it mean?
Your thing, your routine.
Yeah, my routine. This show. Okay? I gotta get you. The worst thing that can happen is a disruption of the show. Second worst thing that can happen is you don't listen to the show. Best thing that can happen is you listen to the show. That's what I'm going for. So that anything which disrupts the show, like rustling papers, like whatever we're doing with these pens, like Nevada ripping apart his notebook last hour, disrupts the show. I don't like the disruption of the show. That's why Miss Goss, the woman's been teaching for 40-some years. She comes in apologetic to a person who is a lot younger than she is, by probably 15 years. And she's apologizing to me. I mean, she's really good at what she does. I like her a lot. And she kind of knows the show's on. I wouldn't have come in unless I knew that you were passing out papers because I don't like to interrupt. Okay. Here's what I've learned. I've learned that the whole thing has to start with respect. If you think the person respects you and respects what they're doing, without some slack. Now, 175 days, 180 days this year. How many days have I phoned it in? You've been here almost all those days. How many days did I show up, have my cup of coffee, drink my latte over there, read the free press, and you're working on a worksheet?
About 7 times you were going.
Actually, no. Well, yeah, some of those were broken teeth, remember, though. 4 times is my count, and it's always in class work day. Every other day, it's a show. I show today, okay? And I think that what you see in that is what matters, and I think you see effort in that. And that's what you get respect for. So you're going to be selling those wheel bearings to that guy in that office, you know, that you got in the factory. He's putting together trailers, and you're selling wheel bearings. You better be out there hustling. He wants to see effort. Effort gets respect. And this is something that I've had to reach the unfortunate. I reached this conclusion about 20 years ago. And I've only told maybe 5 or 6 people this thing. I told both my sons this. I told my wife, I told Massimo, this garden knows my philosophy on this. I don't think content's that big a deal. The content isn't that big a deal to me. I think you're a really bright kid, okay, with a lot of skills. Can you give me the 3 suspects for who destroyed the Maine and Havana Harbor in 1898?
Let's see here. Wasn't it? Yeah, no, it's not on top of my head.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's my conclusion. I reached the conclusion 20 years ago. I used to get really ticked off. We went over this. Look at this mistake. They don't know it's the Cuban revolutionaries. You tell me you forgot the Cuban revolution? How many of you know what an adverb is? Yeah. You use them all the time, right? You don't know the content. Okay? I think what matters is effort. That's what matters. And I think what matters is curiosity. I can tell you everything I know about this oil well and how they're going to plug it and what happened and the whole thing and give you that whole thing. You know, because I put in the effort to tune into that story because that's what I do for a living. I think you respect the fact that I tried to do that. Phone it in. But the fact of the matter is in 6 months you won't remember. You don't remember what we did 6 months ago. You don't remember what we did 6 weeks ago. Here's the line that I started using about 20 years ago. I don't teach history. It's when I was teaching history, just U.S. history. I don't teach history. I teach people how to think, and I use history to do that. That's what I do. The content is subservient to the mission of teaching how they're supposed to think. It's subordinate to that. The content isn't the deal. Triple entente. Listen to triple entente. You didn't know the war, do you? Content. Now, let me just tell you, it was World War I. It was in all the papers. It's kind of a big event. Anybody recall the Triple Entente? Do you know the Triple Entente? Who are they? Okay, it's a French word, so you got to give like France, England, at first Russia, the United States, then World War I. Now, I will guarantee every one of your history teachers tell you that. I mean, can you imagine them? Can you name the Axis powers? It's content. Yeah, Germany, not Austria-Hungary, Germany, Japan, Italy. Okay, it's content. What's crucial to get you to the point of being an intellectual person, like you are, a thoughtful person, a thought-filled person, is process, being curious. It's curiosity and trying to figure things out. That's what's important. The content changes. Curiosity and the effort is what matters. This is what I've learned. It doesn't make it right. It's just what I've learned. My conclusion after 32 years of this. If I were to go back and try to figure out what was important, what the lessons I taught, I don't know if they could remember a diagram of the federal level of government, Austin. But I know that if they saw a person standing in front of them every day who tried their best and who was curious about the world and respected their ideas, then I think that's what matters. And when it's all said and done, and it's about to be all said and done, I think that's all that matters, is that feeling.
I feel like we're in a TED video right now.
I only have one goal left. I got one goal left. And I got 30-some minutes to do it, okay? And we'll see if it ever happens. 28,000 times it hasn't happened yet. We'll see. I think I've learned that a sense of humor is pretty important. Now, how many senses of humor are there? How many different kinds of humor or styles of humor can you identify? That's one. Slapstick. Slapstick is a style of humor. Sarcasm, satire, okay, observational humor. Seinfeld has made a living out of that. Hey, do you ever wonder why? That type of stuff. Political humor. Anger humor. Lewis Black is good. There's blue humor, which is dirty jokes, no vulgar. That's humor. Okay, would you say that we probably could identify 7, 8, 9 variations of humor? You know, well, you don't have a sense of humor. No, you don't have my sense of humor. The question is, what makes you laugh? And for some of you, the cheap shots in Austin don't make you laugh. That's not funny to you. Okay. For others, it is. I make crude puns is a crude form of humor. Some of you get it. Some of you find them repulsive or childish. Got it. If there's 8 different styles of humor, and I've got a cross-section of America here in front of me, and one noted European. You're on the European side of the straits, right?
I live in European side. I go to school at Asian side.
So she's
every morning
completely messed up. Multi-continental. Bicontinental.
No.
Give me. Can we not argue about it? She knows where she lives. Okay? I don't want to. Just shut up. They're
Hang on.
LOL.
No, what you do, that's
It worked the other day about it. All I got to do is appeal to enough senses of humor in an attempt to try to keep you listening, and then maybe I've got a chance of teaching you something. I believe, I've learned, that you have to take the lesson to the kids. How many students per hour? I got 33 students in a class. How many of them will walk in every day like a puppy dog, panting, waiting for something to learn? 1 or 2 or 3. That's my conclusion. They're the geeks. And they're the ones you got to, they will learn no matter what. They're just geeks. That's what they are. What percentage of your teachers were geeks in high school and in college? Probably all of them. They liked it. They liked being here. They liked the extra questions. They liked knowing it all. They liked being in charge. They liked helping other people. I mean, go to an elementary. Yeah, any of you have elementary teachers from others? Go look at the bulletin boards. There's always something going on. It's always the geeks who become the teachers. Now, geeks can become other people too, but I would say the geekosity rate, I believe that's a statistic done by Pew Research too.
.com/. Yeah.
GTP. That's my source. I think the high percentage of geeks in teaching is probably off the chart. Okay, but how many of those kids are in their classes? 2 or 3 every hour? 3%, 5% tops. Okay, so they get all bogged down with content. Those kids are not walking in the room anxious and ready to learn, and they don't ever get to the point where you got to trick them. You have to trick a 2nd grader into learning, then you haven't been in a 2nd grade classroom very long, for a long run. Those 2nd graders steam in there, and they're just all sweaty and hot after recess, and they want to learn something. They're enthusiastic about the process. Trust me on it. Just trust me on this one. Okay, when does that stop? When does that when does that stop? 4th, 5th, 6th grade, at some point it stops. All right, can anybody tell me what water is made of? And there'll be 13 out of 22 hands going in the air. They're anxious to tell you. That stops at some point. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying you're still curious, and you're still willing to put effort into it. It's just a different form of communication. I got to bring it to you at that point. 2nd grade teacher, she can expect that kid to come to her for the information. I got to take it to you. Okay, so how do I do that? I try to trick you with it. I try to make it seem interesting and relevant to your life, and I try to make it funny as best I can, or make him funny, or make a kid the butt of a joke, so that you'll listen to what I might have to say next while plugging an oil well. Or I make it personal. Okay, so let's see. The Christners landed in Miami 2 hours ago. Probably renting a car now as they drive down the Keys to Key Largo. That's where they're going to spend the honeymoon. In the sunshine, oh no, it's going to be raining all week. Okay, and so let's see. 85 degrees and it's going to rain all week. I don't know what they're going to do. Now see, that's blue. There you're going off into the Chris Rock variation. That's one. And that will appeal to some kids, and other kids will say, oh, well, that's just disgusting. Okay? But I would like to point out there's smiles and there's people listening, and that's the point. That's the point. Trick them into listening. Trick them into listening and not get fired at the same time. It's kind of a delicate balance I walk here sometimes, but that's the deal. Okay, so are they going to be walking on sandy beaches, or are they going to be walking on oil-filled sandy beaches? See, now, I want to get to the point where we're going to talk about that current event, and we're not, but if we were going to, I could start it there. I'm going to try to bring it to you. Do you think the Cubans are kind of concerned about this also?
Yeah.
You think the Mexicans are? Yeah. I mean, look at your geography and figure out the Gulf of Mexico, and this isn't just Louisiana. And we got hurricane season starting up when? 2 weeks? Well, that's all over the place. You figure the folks in South Carolina are a little concerned? That Gulf Stream the Gulf of Mexico, that water goes around, the straits between Cuba and the Keys. Okay, so here's the point. I got to figure out a way to trick you into doing that. I think the other thing that I've learned is that honesty really works. How many of you have arrived at the conclusion in your life that you're not smart enough to lie? If you're going to be a liar, you have to have an unbelievable memory. Because
You can't get caught up telling different people different things.
I figure out who you told what to. I told them I was going to the store. I told her she was going to the store. When I really went to the bowling alley, but I didn't get the milk at the store, so I couldn't get the milk at it, but I told him I was going to church. Like the bowling alley, but I can't remember all that. I can barely remember my right hand from my left. Okay? You guys can remember 6 different stories that I told 12 different people about 14 different things. I don't think I can do that. So I'm just telling you, honesty matters. Honesty in terms of honest effort also matters. You see that salesman getting after it, making phone calls and following up and doing those things. You see that teacher that comes in every day rain or shine, sick or not, and doing the best they can. I think you respect that. And the whole thing is based on respect and mutual respect. The second thing I've learned about respect is you have to be strong. You can't be weak. People don't respect weakness, they respect strength. It's why I'm getting on a day-to-day more and more ticked off with Obama. Every day I get more ticked off. And I don't want to be ticked off with him, but I'm more and more, I literally want those VP executives in cuffs walking into some jail sometime. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Forget the cuffs. I want the tie wraps. You know the ones they put on the drug dealers?
Yeah.
That's right. I want the zip ties right here like this, being led in to a U.S. Federal court. That's what I want to see. I want the people respect strength. Like him or dislike him. And I come down on the dislike part of the equation. George Bush was strong. I disagreed with 80% of what he did. But you know what? You know where he stood. People respect strength, even if they don't like you. I'm not here to make friends. I get all the friends I need. My job here is to make you a friend. If it should happen one day that we should be friends, that would be terrific. But that's not my mission. I like the fact that John Naughty 10 years comes back afterwards. I like that. That makes me feel good to know that I have a positive thing in that kid's life, that fans life. Okay? That I've got, former players and former students who, maybe you can't protect your kids. My kid's not ready. Yeah, well, you know what? You got the Christner experience. Go from there. But the reality is there's an issue involved with respect that I think starts with strength. So I'm applying for the job 22 years ago. I'm down in the office, which isn't even the office anymore. Mr. Moore's room was where the office was, in that area. The Texas School Store was kind of where the office was. I walked in there, the athletic director was there, the principal was there, and you guys know Mr. Mikowajczyk?
Yeah.
Did you have him? He had died by then? Okay. Anyway, he was there, and Miss Steinhauer, she used to teach in that room. She died about 5 years ago. She's a wonderful person, a great teacher. They asked me, okay, how do you discipline in the classroom? What's your system for discipline in the classroom, Mr. Christner? You've been teaching for 8 years in Saginaw County. How do you do it? Well, I only told them half the story. I'll tell you the other half today. The half I told them was, there is in every school a 100-pound female teacher who's real small, who has every one of those kids in that classroom completely under her thumb. She's the best disciplinarian in the school. It doesn't take anything for a 6'2", 215-pound loudmouth to intimidate people. Just you hover over them, you sort of do the finger pointing thing, that whole deal. I mean, you can intimidate with size, but that woman can. She weighed 100 pounds. I didn't know it, but the woman who was in the interview was the woman I was talking about. And there's others. How many of you know Miss Parker? Okay? You don't mess with her. She's no bigger than that. She has no intimidating size. She just has complete control over what's going on there. And she has strength. Scaring is a part of the deal, by the way. That's a part of it. How many days were you scared in freshman girls basketball practice before you figured it out?
For a while.
Week or two?
Pretty much. I was late for tryouts too, so I didn't know.
I forgot that.
Remember?
No, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, I was freaking out.
Every year those freshman girls come in, they're nervous anyway. And I come on that first day as kind of a ornery kind of guy. You get past? Did you deliver that, please? Yeah, kind of scary, because, if you're not tough enough to take me, you might as well leave right now. Because, playing against Howell gets tougher than this. Thanks. Okay, you guys go?
Yeah.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. So, I think that's part of it. There's some fear involved. So, that's part of the deal. The other part that I didn't tell them was, my classrooms are not natural selection, okay? Especially this class. 3 or 4 times a year, I will go out that door, down that hall, down here to 4 corners to the drinking fountain and just hang out for about 30 seconds. Long enough to pick a fight with somebody. Have any of you seen the show? I did the show in that hallway about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Who did I yell at?
Nolan.
No, the kid with Nolan.
Think of.
I don't know who it was.
Yeah, I think it was him.
Were you there?
They were not there?
It was Zach.
Did he tell you about it? Here's how it works. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody to say a foul word. I'm looking for somebody to say something disrespectful, especially if there's a girl there. Okay? So I'll walk down there, hang out by the drinking fountain. How long is it going to take me at lunch to hang out by the drinking fountain or hang out at the ramp and listen for somebody to swear?
5 seconds.
3 seconds, 5 seconds. And when I hear the magic word, or a magic word, I get right into that kid's face. I mean, and I'm hoping it's after lunch so I get some good garlic breath working too. I mean, right up in his face.
I don't touch them. I don't literally point. I mean, I don't hit them with the finger, but I'm pointing at them. You don't be swearing in my school. I'm right there. We don't swear in this school. You show respect for people in the school. And I do it about this loud. Are you listening to me? Don't look over there. You look at me when I'm talking to you. One of those things. Just drill sergeant. Just sure. And the conclusion I want this kid to reach is, that guy's a jerk. An asshole. That's
ironic.
I'm not going to use that particular term then because lecturing them about profanity probably would be the wrong term to use at that point. That is their conclusion, though. I want the whole crowd to see it. I want the whole crowd to look and say, geez, that guy's a jerk. Because I always finish it the same way. My name is Mr. Christner. I teach in room D54. I teach current events. Do not take my class. You will fail and you will hate it. And I walk away. What's the conclusion that those 20 kids reach? He's a jerk. I'm never going to take his class. Mission accomplished. See, it took me 2 years to figure that out. It took me 2 years to figure this out. My first year as a teacher at Chesaning High School in Chesaning, Michigan, Jamie Willis and Tim Paracta were in my room. It was not that Paracta. I asked Officer Paracta, you got a relative up there in Saginaw County? No, I don't. Thank God. Okay. Jamie ended up 12 years in Ionia, and Tim was in and out of the Saginaw Correctional Facility. But Jamie was in-house. He was in a gated community for about 12 years. All right, now, I had a deal with Jamie. Jamie, I'm not going to bug you. You don't bug me. Here's my math. This is pretty simple math. I got 33 students in the room. I got one of me. I give you 100% of what I've got. That means you get 3%. You get 3%, and you get 3%, and you get 3%, and you divide me up to 3%, and that equals 100% for 33 students. If Jamie requires 50% of my attention to deal with him, y'all get less. And that's not the way I want to play. So I got to figure out a way to deal with Jamie so that he doesn't get more than his 3% of attention. Okay, because that's going to short the rest of you, and that you don't deserve that. So my deal with those kids was, I'm not going to bug you if you don't bug me. And Jamie was okay with that. He's going to get his E. I don't really care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care that I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about his grade. Okay, that's the deal we worked out. Now, Jamie got suspended for a week. So I know, it's middle of October. Where's Jamie? He got suspended. He threw a chair at Mr. Pullman. What? He threw a chair at Mr. Pullman. Mr. Pullman was the teacher next to me. I don't understand. What do you mean he threw a chair? She picked up a chair and threw it at Mr. Pullman. What did Mr. Pullman do? He threw the chair back. It's an interesting different concept there. Now, Mr. Pullman was a minor league baseball player, All-American baseball player, and I know him to this day. In fact, Jesse's middle name is Carl for that guy. So he was his college baseball coach and a tough guy. No nonsense guy. I'm throwing the chair back at you. Well, I figured, okay, I got to figure out a way to deal with these boys that's going to be not threatening to either one of us. And my solution was, one fail. I don't care. They don't care. I don't care. They don't care that I don't care. Everybody wins here. Okay, so I had 2 of those kids in my class. I dealt with both of them the same way. I'm not going to bother you. High school, sophomores. No, I'm sorry, juniors. It's when we used to teach U.S. history to juniors. Next year, guess who's in my room? Both those guys are back in my room, and I got 4 other ones. I got 4 other emotionally impaired, male, misbehaving kids in my room. I got 6 total now. Okay? And I'm not very smart, so I went to the counselor. I said, Jerry, last year I had Jamie and Tim, and they were all I could handle. Now I got 6 of these emotionally impaired kids. What's the deal? And what did Jerry say? Dean, you did such a good job with Jamie and Tim last year. You want to finish that sentence for me? They thought you could handle those boys, and you're doing a real good job with them, and nobody else wants them. Now, I'm here to tell you, this is another thing I learned. I learned this after 2 years. Jamie will take years off your life. Jamie will end your career. Jamie will make you not want to be a teacher anymore. Because this is 50% of my day. How am I going to deal with Jamie now? What am I going to do when he does when he throws a chair at a kid? What am I going to do when he does this? What am I going to sell drugs? What am I going to do when he does I got to deal with Jamie. And you get ticked off with that. Because you're like here to learn. You know, you're kind of a real student. You're expecting your 3% at least. Not 1% because I got to give him 2% of your stuff. I got to deal with this after school, and I got to deal with the wind. You know, I don't want to do it. Okay, so what did I do? What would you do if you got 6 of these boys in your room, and you know that if it works out and everything's cool with those 6 boys, what are you going to get next year? 9? 12? Pretty soon you're going to get half your class full of these boys because all the other teachers say, give him to Dan. Dan's real well. He does real well with these kids. He's really good with those kids. Give those boys to him. So what do you do? I tried that year to meet them halfway and actually teach them. I reached the conclusion that's not going to work. So, second semester, We don't do that. Hey, you listen to me? You want more of this? I got right in their face. It didn't work out so well that semester. Word got around to the counselors that, boy, there's confrontation, Christner spots every week. We got to make sure that next year, none of those kids get in his room. He's just a mean little bastard. Okay, so I have to deal with it. Okay, now, what I've learned is, I have to deal with this, I have to deal with this. This is the worst problem I got in this classroom right here. This. Okay. God giving life to man.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's all like. Yeah.
I don't know how unprofessional it is to do that, to be honest with you. And I got one or two anyway, because that's the luck of the draw, but I was not going to be the repository for these boys. That's what I learned. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, I confront people out here. And it took her a week and a half to figure out he's just a teddy bear. He really screams out in the hall, but you figured the first thing out in U.S. history class, didn't you, Paige? Mm-hmm. You figured it out early. Austin, when did you figure it out? How long did it take in U.S. history to figure it out?
The first time.
I mean, you see through it right away. Okay, but they never see through it, and they never take the class, and they never know. And I'm okay with all that. You need to have a sense of humor. I think you have to be respectful of people. I think you have to understand that all that really matters is effort and curiosity. Content is second or third after that. I mean, it's secondary to that. That's what I've learned. Any questions?
All right, I was ready for a standing ovation when I mean, you guys.
You have any questions? That's sort of answer short. Say them all. You have any questions?
Are you going to tell us what your goal was? Are you having to tell us?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's okay. Any others?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite student you've ever had?
Oh, wait. All the way. Emily Wilcox.
Second favorite.
9,315 students. Am I in the top 10,000?
On the list. Like this semester.
Emily Wilcox. Graduated. All the 7 or 8 years.
More importantly, why was she your favorite?
Emily was, how people say live every day to the fullest and do all that, she did. She does. She is. She's the only person I know. She's unbelievable curiosity. Harvard, Oxford, Cal Berkeley, PhD. Living in Beijing, decided, hey, you know what? I want to take up ballroom dancing. Speaks 2 versions of Chinese, Mandarin, and I don't know which other one. 36. Her artwork hangs in your cafeteria. Played basketball, volleyball. Not very good at that, but I want to try this. I want to try that. I think I'll try ballroom dancing. Okay. Extraordinary controversy, or not controversy, but curiosity. Just an amazing person. I like Engbo a lot too, for the same reasons. Not just smart, but spread out all over the place. Good at a lot of things. But it's always the same. And Austin, to be really, really honest with you, the short list would be the ones I haven't cared for. And that'd be like 4.
What do you mean?
Students that I really felt, this did not work at all. I didn't like them as people. I had one player in all the years I wouldn't walk across the street to pee on that kid if he was on fire. That's how bad. That's true. They used to have 2 kids like that, and one came back about 6 years later and said, after all that stuff I did in high school, I said, yeah, well, I was wrong. I was immature, and I've seen things from another point of view now, and you were right, and I wasn't living for the moment when you said I was right, because I knew I was right all along. But for him to reach that conclusion and guts enough to come back and tell me, that's pretty impressive. He got off that list. Austin, there's always a special place in my heart for kids like you who allow me to do what I do to you. Really, truly. This place? Taping on the door?
No, I don't like.
The what?
What, emotional, physical abuse? All the way down.
That too. Sincere, teacher predator. Honestly, I swear, you were sitting like right here, right?
Yeah, right where I was.
And does somebody need a hug? Yeah, I do. And he was playing it up perfectly. It was perfect. And I'm thinking as I'm walking towards him, thinking, am I going to do this or not? Am I just going to give him a hug or am I going to give him a special butt hug? And the little voice over my left shoulder said, squeeze.
That's what happened. I was a little, it was fun.
Yeah, well, it's so cool. He jumps back. The kids over there had no idea what had happened. It was a right-handed squeeze on the left cheek. It was over there. They all saw it, you know.
We're surprised.
The legend grew.
So what's next?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Just
fish every day, like.
I really like doing this. I could see going to the Henry Ford Museum and taking a training course and being a guy. I could see doing something like that. I could see, walking people through the museum. I could see doing the tour thing that I do anyway from Detroit, but making money doing it. I could see doing it. I could just start a business doing that.
Or you could live out your legacy and possibly make Chris Hansen at a Catch a Predator. That could be
Bring the guy in. And they interview him and say, well, why did you try?
Why do you like
Yeah,
that?
oh my God, I saw one episode. Actually, I saw like 1.5. It's the same episode all the time.
Yeah, it's like House.
It's the same show.
It's like House. Same thing.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. They try to catch a predator.
Yeah, they have it all
yeah.
like in the summertime.
What's in the bag?
But you have to let that go, Austin. You moved on.
You could be there. Maybe your CNN deal. NBC. Well,
When will you know?
I'm going to call him. I'm going to email him tomorrow. He said early this week they'll know whether that extension thing has happened or not. If it's not, then okay. If it's happened, then it'll be another year of torment and torture for other students. And then it'll be done. And whoever shows up.
Are you going to be here the rest of the
Yeah.
And Monday?
The seniors not have class today?
No, they're
Not.
They're done. Try to read this week. We get our class in last week.
No, they take vacancy on Friday. Friday.
That's what I'm saying. This Friday.
Yeah, I'm still coming in.
Want to come in? You promise?
Huh? You should make a blog. Are you gonna? Every day. Will you guys go to school Friday? Alright, this concludes the last Christner discussion. June 1st, 2010 to 15 in the afternoon. Thank you.